The September 11th, 2013 meeting of the Missouri City Planning and Zoning Commission is hereby called to order. We have a full group of people here tonight, missing one. Okay, moving on, agenda item number 3. Is there a motion that we approve the minutes as presented?
So moved. Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion on those minutes? Anyone? Hearing none, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Those opposed? Okay, the August minutes are approved as presented. Agenda item 4, reports. I have no report to give tonight. Any of the other commissioners? Anyone?
Nope.
Okay, moving on to agenda item 4B, staff reports. Gary?
No report.
Okay, B, our planning representative.
Hi, I'll be
Jennifer?
very quick. I am going to sound like a broken record. We have another training opportunity.
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm going to pass it out. Texas A&M has an 8-week course that they're offering for planning commissioners, elected and appointed officials. And I'm going to hand it to Nancy to pass it along. But please look at the topics. Some are general, talking about, zoning and plating, a lot of the things that come before this commission, and just giving some background information on it. And so if you are interested, it will be held in the evenings on Wednesdays. Off of 45, it's going to be about 45 minutes away from where we're at. There's one that would be held on a P&Z date, so obviously we wouldn't be able to make that one. But 8 weeks, starting, I believe, September 25th or 26th. But take a look at that information. Let us know if you're interested or if you have availability to attend. And then also just wanted to let you know, here's another handout. Last one, I promise. A team from University of Texas has been working with the county on a market study for the 5th Street corridor, and we've been working from a Missouri City perspective with them. And so they'll be having a stakeholders workshop this Saturday from 8:45 to 5 o'clock. So there's some information there. If you have time to want to stop by, you don't have to stay the whole time. I won't be there the entire time. But if you have time and you're just interested to see what the citizens are wanting and planning for that area, please take time to stop by and share your input. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer. All right, 4B3, Valerie?
Yes, sir. We're excited to announce that we'll be celebrating the grand opening of the new animal shelter on September 23rd. I believe that's at 6 p.m. 7. So that's Monday, right? Yeah. And another announcement is the Bond Exploratory Committee is going to be debuting the preliminary project list for the 2014 bond election.
Ooh.
Yes. October 15th is what we're looking at. We haven't officially sent out any public notices yet, but we're getting ready to work on that.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Any questions, anybody about that? Thank you, Valerie.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. City Secretary, Maria, come on up here and give us your spiel. It's good to have you tonight.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Hello, everyone. My name is Maria Gonzalez. Is this on?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you for having me. My name is Maria Gonzalez. I'm the city secretary. Thank you. Today I'm going to discuss with you a recent policy the council adopted during our July city council meeting regarding a board policy, board committee commission policy and procedure document. Before I start, let me just say I have been told that I talk fast. So if at any point during this presentation I speak too fast, you have any question, you want me to slow down, feel free to stop me at any point in time. What's the purpose of this document? Pretty much what council wanted to do, they wanted to create a document that they could give to to citizens who were interested in becoming a part of our board, committee, commission, or policy. I'm sorry, they wanted to give citizens a policy so they can, if they're interested in becoming a member of our board or a commission or a committee, so that they can kind of look a little bit more into what it would entail to be a part of those commissions. It's also to provide a reference guide for the orientation and training of new members. The objective is to make sure that the board, all the boards are composed of capable, dependable, and effective and diverse members that represent all areas of the city of Missouri City. Is to encourage maximum participation. City Council will give strong consideration to both the reappointment of incumbents and new appointees. What you need to know. Members will be expected to attend most board meetings. What is stated within the policy is if a board, committee, or commission does not have a policy in place, what council is recommending is a member who misses 3 cumulative meetings per fiscal year. The city's fiscal year is July 1st through June 30th, is subject to removal at the discretion of city council. I know the Planning and Zoning Commission, also the Parks Board, they have a policy already in place, so this section would not apply to you. I know the Planning and Zoning Commission is a little different. Yours says commissioners who absent for 3 consecutive regular meetings are subject to removal, but so this section would not apply to you. It would only apply to those boards, committees, or commission who did not have a policy in place. The appointment process. Approximately 3 months prior to formal appointments, council will be charged with screening current members and making recommendations to new members. Additional information will be requested from the staff liaison for member attendance records. Should City Council wish to not reappoint a board member, a member of City Council will notify the member who they wish to not reappoint of council's decision. The appointment process, new members will be interviewed by City Council during a special City Council meeting, and at times, Council will request to interview existing members who wish to serve another 2-year term. The second section was included because in the event that we have a new council member on, serving, they want to have a one-on-one conversation with the person in their district, just so they can have a little bit more information about them. It's not that it's not any red flags. It's just if we have a new person coming on council, they want to know who is representing their district. The appointment process, the city secretary's office will then contact each existing board member with expiring terms and ask if they desire reappointment. Council will appoint or reappoint members during a regular city council meeting based on the response of the existing board member, and it is council's recommendation from the newly interviewed group of candidates. Members will be invited to a swearing-in ceremony during an upcoming regular city council meeting. This is also something new that we decided to implement this year. Previously, we just appointed you to the board, committee, or commission, but now we decided to do something a little bit more special and invite everybody who is appointed or reappointed to their board, committee, or commission, and ask that if you would like to participate in the city's swearing-in ceremony during a regular city council meeting. Who will help me? The staff liaison and board member will soon be notified of a new board member after formal appointments by City Council and ask that they provide the newest member with an orientation session. Something that I just wanted to include in here is mandatory training. I'm pretty sure everybody here has this mandatory training. If not, please don't say anything right now. You can contact me after. Effective January 2006, elected officials and appointed officials were obligated or are obligated by state law to receive your Open Meetings Act and Public Information Act training. There is a website, the Attorney General's website, where you can go and select the video and you can watch the video. And at the end of the video, it gives you a code where you can go and get your certificate. Once you get that certificate, you need to give it to me so that I can have a record that you completed the necessary training as stated by the state law. Member responsibilities: be prepared for each meeting, stay informed of issues facing other municipalities, stay informed of previous action taken by the board in your absence, and when addressing an agenda item, the member will be recognized by the chairperson in order to avoid interruption of another member. These are just a few topics that I wanted to highlight from the policy. I understand everybody here was given a policy, the policy document last month, so if you have any other questions, or if you have any questions right now is a good time, or I can give you my email address, you can contact me later. No questions? Okay, thank you so much.
I was just watching her. Okay, moving on. Before we go to agenda item number 5, I want to recognize our city council member, Mr. Floyd Emery, who is here with us tonight. We appreciate you coming, Floyd. And also our assistant city manager, Mr. Scott Elmer. Scott, thank you too. Okay, moving on to agenda item number 5, public comments. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to step to the podium and address anything which is not on this agenda for tonight? If you would like to do that, please be our guest.
Good evening, Commissioner Lee, Commissioners. My name is Peter Jacob. I represent OCC2LP. OCC2LP is the owners of a 10.5 acre tract of land located at Highway 6 and Trammell Fresno. Basically, the tract of land that I'm going to be talking about this evening is agenda item 6B2, specifically with regards to the final plat for Section 3. We purchased 10 acres of that land and recently went ahead and installed all the improvements for the entire tract itself, the entire 16 acres. I've noticed on the website there was a request for final approval of this plat. There was a drawing that was affixed to the actual submittal, and specifically what I'm here this evening is to address the issue of an assumption that I think that the applicant has made with regards to the ability for access. Their drawing is showing that they have a connection to the drive that we've installed and the curb cut on Highway 6. We have not been approached by them as far as any kind of agreement, et cetera. What I'm here tonight to do is basically get on the record that we would entertain with the applicant a applicable cost-sharing agreement for those improvements. Our partnership went ahead and paid for those improvements. They're going to get the benefit from it, and there should be some remuneration from them to our partnership for use of that particular improvement. So I just wanted to go ahead and verbalize that. We're not here to, delay the project. We're not here to, basically create any kind of, harsh feelings or whatever. But the bottom line is that we want to see the project move forward. It's beneficial for the community, but there is some additional cost that they have made an assumption, and I just wanted to bring it to everybody's attention. Like I said, we have not been approached by them, nor have anything been addressed. So that's basically what I have this evening. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Okay, moving on to agenda item number 6, the plats. 6A1, consider approval of a preliminary plat for stripes at State Highway 6 and Creekmont. A2, consider approval of a preliminary plat for Shadow Glen at Riverstone Section 6. A3, consider approval of a preliminary plat for Millwood at Riverstone Section 4. And A4, consider approval of a preliminary plat for Creekstone Village at Riverstone Section 9. And A5, consider approval of a preliminary plat for Creekstone Village at Riverstone Section 7, Phase 2. Do I hear a motion that we approve the consent agenda?
So moved. Second.
Is there a second to that? All right. All right, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any further questions on the consent agenda at all, anyone? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Those opposed? Okay, the consent agenda is approved as presented. 6B, Oyster Creek Crossing. B1, consider approval of a preliminary plat extension for Oyster Creek Crossing. Jennifer?
Yes, and this is more procedural. The report outlines the situation here, Oyster Creek Crossing. The preliminary plat was previously approved in 2011. It did expire in April. The subdivision ordinance gives the commission the discretion to extend approval for that preliminary plat, and staff has brought this to you because of the final plat that has been submitted for Oyster Creek Crossing Section 3. There are no substantive issues which staff would not recommend approval for the preliminary plat extension. Please note that if the commission does not grant preliminary plat approval, then the final plat for Oyster Creek Crossing Section 3 could not be approved. They would have to resubmit it as a revised preliminary first for consideration. Staff recommends extending the approval for the preliminary plat for a period of 1 year, subject to expire September 11, 2014.
Make a motion to approve this.
Is there a second to that? Any further questions about this particular item? And as we approve this, we got to approve the next item too.
The next item would be the final plat
Yeah.
for Section 3.
Okay. All right, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Those opposed? Okay, 6B1 is also approved as presented. 6B2, Oyster Creek Crossing, Section 3, final plat.
And you have the staff report, and again, this is subject to the approval that you just did for the preliminary plat. We did add the additional, all of the commissioners should have a copy of the addition to the report, and that comment is just that it's not a substantive issue. It's just that they take away the labeling for the right-of-way from the reserve table and specify on the plat itself that the right-of-way is being dedicated to the public. So the information is on there, but we're asking that they clean that up. And so that's an additional comment in addition to the staff report that was in everyone's packets.
It's just right here. This is what she's talking about. This needs to go to an easement.
Make a motion to approve this final plat.
Second. All right, it's been moved and seconded that we approve agenda item 6B2. Any further discussion on this item at all? All those in favor? Raise your right hand. Those opposed? Okay, 6B2 is approved as presented. Okay, moving on. Agenda item number 7A, zoning text amendment. Consideration for an annual sign fee.
And this is a preliminary report. I don't have a presentation for this. There is a staff report that has some recommendations. However, it's a public hearing, and so if the commission, just wants to entertain any comments from the public, you can do so. But staff has nothing more to add to this item than what's in the report.
Okay, is this?
If I may, there may be another sentence that could be added to the end. While we do desire to have you conduct the public hearings so that we don't have to replow this ground again in the future, staff is considering other alternatives, and if there is a second public hearing, it may well not be at your next meeting. It may be delayed as we look at other options. Or you may not see this again at all.
Right.
So we posted it, we published it. Would like for you to conduct a public hearing, although I'm not too sure I see too many members of the public waiting to speak on this.
I kind of thought it might be kind of
Packed.
delayed a tad, you know. Okay, as this is a public hearing, anybody out there that would like to step to the podium and address this item? Motion to close public
Make a
hearing?
motion to close the public hearing.
Second of that? Who seconded? Ramesh? All right, all those in favor? Those opposed? Okay, the public hearing is, and agenda item zoning text amendment is taken care of. All right, 7B, public hearing and consideration of an amendment regarding sensitive land uses. Jennifer?
Pawn shops. This is the preliminary report. It's also a public hearing. Staff is recommending, as we've discussed on a couple occasions now, we don't have a specific zoning use district where we specifically state that pawn shops are permitted. We liken them to banks, financial institutions, retail establishments, and allow them in most of our commercial district, the least intense being the LC2 district, in an effort to better comply with state law to state what zoning district these types of uses would be permitted in. Staff is recommending that we go ahead and just add it to the LC2 district so that it would be a permitted use stated by right. And so again, this is a preliminary report, staff's initial recommendation, and if the commission has any questions, I can entertain that.
Okay, any questions? All right, is this also as a public hearing? Anybody in the audience that would like to step to the podium and address this item? Hear none?
Oh, come on, he was gonna get up, I know he was. I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second of that? All right, it's been moved and seconded that we close the public hearing. All those in favor? Those opposed? Okay.
We have to have rights, so.
We have to have.
Cannot prohibit them,
Fine, fine.
and we cannot require specific use permits or other.
But we can't stick them in one place though, right?
Good.
We probably would not want that.
We just have them all in one little spot. you
Right.
know?
Outside of Missouri.
Yeah, I was thinking deep into Highway 6,
For pawn shops.
right at the cusp of Sugar Land.
Right, right.
I know.
Go ahead.
Other
Give them a
directions.
Sugar Land address.
Okay, moving on.
Lord.
All right, 7C, regulation of sensitive land uses, parentheses, payday lenders, close paren.
Payday lenders, similar category, and this is a discussion item. So staff is seeking the commission to call a public hearing, and we'll bring preliminary recommendations to you. But the issues are laid out in the staff report. This is one of those types of uses that have overloaded certain communities, and so we're attempting to be proactive in terms of looking at this use and whether or not additional regulations should be applied. Again, this is similar to pawn shops where we don't have a specific district designated that explicitly states that the use is allowed, permitted, so we liken it to other similar types of uses. And so as it stands today, it would be permitted in most of our commercial districts. And so you have some background information in terms of payday lending practices, in terms of, you know, the impact that it could have on communities. A few cities in Texas, around the country, have applied zoning tools in order to try to disperse them and not have them clustered in one particular area of a community. And so if the commission desires, we can look at whether or not that's appropriate for Missouri City. We highlighted the city of Mesquite and some of the regulations that they've applied. And those regulations include limiting them to certain commercial districts, commercial and industrial districts, and then also requiring a specific use permit to locate within those districts. So that's an added tool that they've established. In addition to that, they have certain location criteria that they've established, including that they can't be within a certain distance from each other, so you don't have them side by side, or a district of payday lenders. They're dispersed. So that's another tool that we can look at for Missouri City. Again, it's discussion, and so this is the first time we're presenting it, to you all. And if there's, any questions or any considerations that you all want us to take a look at before we bring recommendations to you, then we can discuss that at this point.
So there's no state regulations or anything around that specific kind of business other than what you stated about the lending rates kind of thing?
Yeah, what we're finding is because of how they can register through the state as credit service organizations, it creates a loophole, so they're not subject to the same interest rate limitations as other, established financial institutions. And so because of that, then it allows them to institute, some of the outrageous interest rates that we saw. And, just based on the sign of our times and, the impact that could have on a community could be substantial.
Do we have any right now?
That is the question. And, and I meant to, when we did the initial workshop, and provided background on pawn shops, and we have about 5 like businesses in the city, and they're dispersed throughout. You have Texas Parkway, Highway 6, 1092, I believe, that have different, whether it's cash advance, whether it's, different. I don't want to call out specific ones, even though I think I did, but they're dispersed throughout. But because of how they're registered, we don't know for sure if that's the type of services, that they're conducting.
Is the question I have, is the objective of it is to keep them from bunching together, or to actually try and help residents not make poor financial decisions?
Well, I think, we can't control individual choice. Again, it becomes a market issue at that point. And so obviously, if they're trying to locate in an area, they're locating where, right, the market, may demand for it. But our objective is, to make sure that it doesn't disproportionately impact certain areas of our city. Some of the tendencies that some of these other communities are dealing with is that they tend to cluster. And we don't, we want to make sure that, it not only fits our community character, but it doesn't overload or overburden a specific area of the city.
So if we can't really identify the existing ones, how would we apply any particular rules to any potential new ones?
We would need to define, and that's why included in the City of Mesquite's definition. So theirs is not limited to just payday lending. They grouped cash advance and, pretty much any alternative. Financial establishment. Right, they grouped them. So we would need to formulate, a definition of the types of businesses that would be categorized as such.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, the one thing that we have to remember here is that involving this type of operation, we can't say we don't need it or we do need it or whatever. We've got to place it wherever it needs to be in that proper location.
Exactly.
And set some rules and regulations for it. But we just can't ignore it or eliminate it right off the top.
I like the direction. I like this.
So we can't tell them they can't come in, but we can tell them where
We've
they
got
can
to
be
set the
located.
rules.
Right.
Got to set the rules. Got to be done the right
Probably about
way.
as good as you can do at this point.
Right. And keeping in mind what we've discussed, before, all of the other tools that are applied, again, the use of the sign ordinance, because as you see, some communities, banning certain neon signs, but we have, the sign ordinance as the tool, our architectural standards, so these types of businesses would have to comply with all of those standards just like any other business. But now, looking at whether or not we need to impose further restrictions in terms of their location, what would be appropriate is something that we need to consider.
At this particular point in time now, we don't need to try to schedule a public hearing.
Well, staff is recommending that you do call a public hearing. If you do so tonight, then we will look at this to schedule it for next month's meeting and come back to you with a preliminary report and preliminary recommendations.
I make that motion.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. We establish a schedule for a public hearing. Do we have any questions about this? Lynn?
No.
Okay. Anybody?
So
Okay.
Mesquite has studied it and they know what to call it?
They-
Non-asset-driven loan establishment? I mean,
That's, yeah, I mean, it's,
That's a good one.
yeah, and I haven't spoken with anyone at Mesquite, so I don't know what their process was to get to the term that they use. Their term is, I think it's alternative financial establishment. And again, they just distinguish it from, federally, insured, banks and, other recognized financed institutions. But that would be part of our process to determine if, that fits what, we're looking at providing regulations for, or if we need to, adjust it. We don't have to use the same term.
But in here, they actually chased them out of a
Right,
corridor, or
right,
several corridors.
right. They're pretty restrictive. And on top, because the way Mesquite has done it is that they've limited it, to certain districts, but even on top of the limitation on certain districts, they require, what amounts to a specific use permit within those districts. So it's not a use by right within those districts. It still is under scrutiny and has to come, through their zoning process for approval.
Have they been tested yet?
And that's a question, as we go to the preliminary report, then we can touch bases with, and not just Mesquite, some of the other communities that have imposed certain restrictions. Mesquite adopted theirs in 2008, so I think they've had some
Yeah.
time to see how it might have affected.
Especially through the
So-
recession and then coming back up. So
Right. So when we bring it back as a preliminary, we would have touched bases with them to find out some information
If
about
you-
how it's applied.
If you
I'd
go
like to
to,
see how well it worked in Mesquite, since they have had, 5 years for the ordinance to be in place, so.
the Texas Municipal League website has pulled together resources on this, including, and there's some of us who go look at these things because we're natively curious, pleadings and lawsuits involving this kind of regulation. Mesquite, if I recall correctly, is not a party to one of those lawsuits. Dallas has been, Denton, several others, El Paso, San Antonio, Austin, as I recall. Quite a few of those suits have been non-suited or dismissed by the plaintiffs, the payday lenders and title loans. As I have had the opportunity over the last 2 months to drive back and forth to Denton, moving my son back home now that he's finished,
Yeah.
diploma.
Congratulations.
Taking more than one route, you begin to notice them if you look around. And if you go into Houston, you will notice them as you go by the roadway. They have a tendency to occupy empty buildings. They will take over an empty convenience store. They will take over a fast food restaurant. Or they will set up in a strip mall.
Yeah.
Loud colors, bright colors are things that they utilize, obviously, to get attention and let people know where they are. People making choices in their credit, as was asked, we probably can't stop them, and we probably should not endeavor to regulate that.
Exactly.
Hopefully, we can help people become more educated about how to do things and how to utilize credit. But at the very least, I want us to give it a solid study and a solid look. Do we have an issue? Do we want to prevent an issue? Because indeed, if the information that has been provided through TML is accurate, they are predatory. They take advantage of people who allow them to take advantage of them, people who feel like they may not have other options. And we can't zone them out. City of Greenville avoided a lawsuit by agreeing to not restrict them from a certain area. But Mesquite's been successful in limiting where they can be. And I agree with Jennifer, our architectural standards, our mostly farm-based zoning is very helpful in limiting them. I believe we have 5 to 10 of them in town. If you look around, you'll find them, but you have to look pretty hard to find them. That's the benefit of our sign ordinance. That's the benefit of our architectural standards. And our landscaping doesn't hurt either.
So the case studies that you were reviewing, they were, I guess, looking at some type of state law or something that would supersede city government law that they were
The
seeing?
legislature has been unable
Okay.
to pass any regulation. They cannot agree on the regulation to pass.
Okay. So
You can
essentially,
discuss that with the legislature. I think the word is lobby.
Yeah, lobby.
yeah.
Some people have a very strong lobby, and
I got
generally cities don't fall in the strong lobby category. But trying to balance those interests, it's fallen now to the local governments
Right.
to provide regulation, if regulation is appropriate to be provided. And we certainly can go into that in much more detail tonight during the workshop.
Is 30 days long enough for you to get all this research done? It's tight, Jennifer.
Don't make it tight.
It is, but we've been
Tight.
looking at it for a few months.
Okay.
So I think at this point, the additional research that we would need is to reach out to some of the communities. If, we need to pause that, then, we would reschedule the public hearing or bring the preliminary report back to you at a later time.
Okay. My motion stands.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we establish a schedule for this, set up a public hearing. Any further discussion on this item at all? Anyone? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Those opposed? Okay, that item is approved. Moving on, agenda item number 8. Consideration of the adoption of a recommendation to City Council regarding a parkland dedication proposal for the Huntington at Sienna.
This is the Huntington. As the commission is aware, this is a 132-unit senior retirement community, similar to the one that is pretty much completed at 1092 and Cartwright. This location would be on Trammell Fresno, the Huntington at Sienna. And this is the parkland dedication. It went to Parks Board last Thursday on September 5th. Parks Board recommended to approve the applicant's proposal of dedicating cash in lieu of parkland. This is in Park Zone 12, which is down in the southern area, includes portions of Oakwick Forest and that area. And as the Parks Director indicated in the minutes, the only park zone that does not have public park property located within it. But the Parks Board is recommending approval for the receival of the cash payment, which would total $158,400 for the 132 units. And so it's to you all. Parks Board is recommending to approve it.
Make a motion
Okay,
that
do I
we
hear a
forward
motion?
it to City Council with a positive recommendation.
The second to that?
Second.
Lynn? It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion on this item at all? Before we vote, that $158,000, that hadn't been paid yet, has it?
No, it would, the condition they would be required to pay it as a condition on the final plat approval.
Okay.
And prior to the CO of any unit.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Okay. All right, all those in favor? Those opposed? Okay. That item is approved, et cetera. That adjourns this meeting.